long last, he is here. The introductory press conference for Mauricio Pochettino. I say at long last, but he suggested it was the right timing. It happened when it happened, even though they talked about some stories breaking whenever we heard it for the first time a month ago, and then we waited, maybe less than a month ago, and we waited and waited. It was so embryonic back then that this is when it was supposed to happen, which gives me a little peace, not a lot, because I wish they could have sped up the process. But these things take time. Good things come to those who wait. And we certainly have waited here in the United States for an opportunity like this. And we're going to go through all the highlights, of which there were several, in this press conference today on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. I got one there with Alexi Laz I think you will enjoy. It talks about Pochettino and U.S. soccer. We'll also talk about South American game, which I love to do. So take a listen to that. Like and subscribe. Like, subscribe, smash those buttons, and join the Soccer OG family because this is going to get good, folks. I got some takes. I watch a lot of media. No one's talking about things that I talk about. And I will say this because I've been seeing a lot of new soccer content and a lot of softballs and a lot of rudderless conversations and a lot of man on the street mumbo jumbo. Forget it. This is where you need to be if you want the good stuff, at least according to me. So let us get into it. It started auspiciously, right? We had audio cracking, and then there was a moment where they went to Cindy Parlow-Cone and they had to move the step and repeat, the signage in the back. She wasn't there, and it looked very, all due respect, Mickey Mouse-ish. Mickey Mouse-ish, all due respect to Mickey Mouse, of course. And the production overall, you're like, eh. They had Andres Cantor, who came on at the beginning. What a great choice. You know, Andres Cantor is the biggest soccer personality in the United States. He's Argentinian, had a nice little couple things to say. And then we got to hear from Mauricio Pochettino. There was a lot of media members there. I mean, this went on for over an hour, and he answered everything. There were some repetitive questions, but he certainly got to that. But you know, everyone we knew was in that room. A lot of Spanish language media members, which we will get to, because this was the highlight for me of this game. I got to put my glasses, not sunglasses, on to go over some of these things. He said, players, every single player is going to pay attention. The door is open. These are direct quotes. We are going to set an idea that can fit for everyone. That player wants to buy in, create our idea all together. And that was based on a question about his philosophy and what he brings to the style of play and how he wants to do it. But he, again, wanted to be very collaborative. Now, these are just words. These are just words. So we do actions speak louder. We will find out about that. So I'm getting excited about this, but just remember, these are just words. But I have said, and I think everyone should, put your expectations for the World Cup pretty low. Trust me on this. My expectation, what is the expectation for 2026? Is to make the round of 16. Again, I say this because it's an expanded World Cup, 48 teams, so you have to make the round of 32, win that game to get the round of 16. So it's kind of like making the quarterfinals of World Cups past. I'm hoping for a quarterfinal. That is as far as I think this team will go. Now, the big quote that everyone's picking up in the media circles is that he said, we are going to win the World Cup. That's a paraphrasing there. All the ideas, we want to play nice football, we want to improve the culture, we want to improve the philosophy, but he says, we are here because we want to win the World Cup. He kind of said that this team could do it, and I appreciate that outlook and optimism, but we are not winning the World Cup. But it's okay to say it. But you get a little excited because he has arrived. He's done some footwork. He's done some homework on the player pool and the conversations. It sounds like there's a vetting process. I imagine he's going to get on the phone, hopefully video chat, because that'll be better. Maybe meet some guys in person, talk about that. And he did say, and this is a real positive, that, you know, the door being open. I think there's 70 or 80 players that they will look at. And I think even though he's not going to be here beyond 2026, he's going to look at some young players that he feel could benefit for the next World Cup cycle. Which sounds a little crazy, but I believe he is here to do that with this squad. So as I said in past videos, because we've covered Pochettino because it's the most interesting thing to talk about in our circles, is that everyone from that Copa America squad, we'll leave it at that, should be on high notice. And they know they are. I said there are 2 players that are locks to make the next squad, and that is Christian Pulisic and Anthony Robinson. Everyone else is going to have to work for it. Weston McKennie, Gio Reyna, Matt Turner, Folarin Balogun, all of these guys are going to have to earn it. They're probably, of that list, most of those guys, if not all of them, will make it. But this is a new day. Nobody is guaranteed a position, just about nobody. There will be no complacency. So this is an interview process you've got to nail. And if you're fortunate enough to make a roster in October, he's going to be in charge for that October 12th game. This October roster is going to be fascinating because there's not many games to get ready. But I think he's going to look at a lot of guys. So you got to grab that by the scruff of the neck. So that is certainly at play. Lower your expectations with regards for the World Cup. I think it was Jeff Carlisle said there's fewer than 10 international windows. And I don't even think it's that many. And there's no World Cup qualifying, so you're going to have to make up with these games. He spoke highly of the players. He said they're intelligent and talented. They can adapt to anything. He was very complimentary of the players. Sometimes I'm like, you're talking about the same guys that we saw? And I don't want to bash the players, and I'm excited about this opportunity. But they haven't been good. We could sit here and blame everything on Berhalter. People still are going to blame Berhalter in the next 6 months, a year. But these players, I hope they know that this is on their shoulders. So he sounds like he's going to lean into it, right? He is going to lean into the resources. He mentioned Emma Hayes 6 or 7 times. Called her the best women's coach. You know, he mentioned it so many times that I actually thought for a second that perhaps after Pochettino, and this sounds, crazy, not so crazy anymore, maybe they're setting up the USMNT job for Emma Hayes. Maybe. Emma Hayes would jump at that because it's a historic moment for the women's game to have a woman in charge of the men's team, which we thought was impossible. Every sport is trying to do it. I haven't seen a better candidate than Emma Hayes. I think if she was relatable with the men, I think that could be something to look forward to. I love the fact that he's creating a support system. He also mentioned about his staff, that he's going to bring it over. And I had all the names, but we'll get to know them. But this is a staff that's been with him for close to 2 decades with PSG and Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur. All of that know-how, all of those contacts. You want the staff. These guys lean into the staff and people they trust in a big way. He also said that those guys challenge him. If you get Pep Guardiola, you want that Man City staff. He said there's one more member that he's going to bring in. Maybe that's someone with some American know-how. Maybe they don't need it. Speaking of American know-how, these are one of the second most exciting thing that he mentioned. I don't know if he's going to stick to it. Was that he is going to be focused on the soccer world here in the U.S. There was a couple moments where he even suggested that he was going to be based here. I know that's not going to happen. But the idea that he would be in a bunker in Barcelona or London doing his job there and come out whenever we see, and it still may end up this way, when we see a training camp, which I want to see kind of how they make the sausages, okay? Even though it may not be pretty all the time. But he sounded like he's excited to be here. He mentioned Lionel Messi. He mentioned MLS 6 or 7 times. So it wasn't like that weird, and again, I don't know how many MLS players make the final World Cup roster. I would put the line at maybe 2. But he's going to look. He's going to pick out 15 guys that he would consider, and they're going to be part of that interview process, I think. But the fact that he mentioned it in U.S. soccer, he wants to really get involved here. It sounded to me, even though it's not going to go beyond 2026, that he wants to put some roots here, the way he was talking. Great news, because we need someone like this that people can get excited about and continue to push that as much as we can. So that was good. Not that he mentioned MLS all the time, but also that he's going to do some things here. He was asked about Argentine managers, and he says, he said this one line. I think we should print T-shirts. Football es pasión. And he mentioned that's why there's that success with Argentine coaches, because they wear their emotions. And it's such a huge thing. There's so much emotions. And he mentioned emotions as being a big part of it. So he seemed refreshed and eager, right? He did. You want to see that. He seems excited about this opportunity. Now, the best part of this, and this is why it's already a success for me, is U.S. Soccer is an old boys network, old white man's network, which is crazy because this is the most diverse sport in the world. And we're in a very diverse country where we have all these people playing the sport. And it's never represented when you look at U.S. Soccer. And it's not really at that point at this juncture either. So there he is, this Hispanic Latino up there with the brass, fielding questions in Spanish and talking about how important the Hispanic market is and how excited he is to tackle it. One journalist said there are 70 million Hispanics in the United States, and this is the first time having a technical manager who is Hispanic. And he said that he takes that responsibility as something to be part of that connection. It's a big part of what he wants to do. That's when he said about football es pasión. People's eyeballs are going to turn. I mean, there was literally 6 questions in Spanish, and they were excited. And now this young kid in Chula Vista or El Paso, we've seen them on the national team come through. They're going to get excited. Dual nationals are going to get excited because it's Pochettino. Because if you're a good player and you're to say, they have Rafa Marquez in Mexico, it's not bad. You say, Pochettino, this is an opportunity. And I believe him when he says he's going to reach out. And maybe there'll be a surprise Liga MX player, one of the dual nationals that are on this squad. Maybe he unearthed something. This, to me, was the big part of it. This is the most exciting thing that was said today. I just couldn't believe it. And I've never seen this with U.S. Soccer. They swept the Hispanic people or the Hispanic interests under the rug. Not by choice, but they didn't know how to. Now they have someone who can do that. He's not an American, but I think he'll be able to get some ties that bind in a lot of ways. I'm just really happy with it. There were some other things. I don't want to go on forever because we've been talking so much about Mauricio Pochettino, but I give it 2 thumbs up. Let's get it going. Now we wait till October. This is the Soccer OG. We're going to be all over it. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Like and subscribe us here. We will see you very soon.